Have you ever just looked up at the night sky and wondered, where does all this come from? I don't just mean the stars and the planets, but, us. Well, today we're going to tackle the biggest story there is, our own cosmic origins. And it turns out the key, the absolute master instruction manual for how everything gets built, is chemistry. You've probably heard the famous Carl Sagan line, "We are made of star stuff." And it's one of those ideas that's so beautiful and profound, right? But the most amazing part is that it's not just poetry. It's a literal scientific fact. The very atoms that make up your body right now were forged inside the heart of a star. Okay, but that leaves us with a pretty huge question, doesn't it? How do you get from a cloud of cosmic dust to a person? A thinking, feeling human being. What's the process? What are the rules that turn simple dead matter into the absolutely breathtaking complexity of life? That is the journey we are going on right now. So the answer, the crucial link in this whole cosmic chain, is chemistry. There's a reason it's often called the central science. It's kind of like the bridge that connects the fundamental laws of physics, the rules for all the tiniest particles, with the messy, wonderful, and incredibly complex world of biology. To really get how everything is built, we have to start at the absolute bottom, the very first rung of what I like to call the cosmic ladder. We're going all the way down to the level of fundamental particles, the smallest possible pieces the universe gives us to play with. So at the deepest level we can see, this is what reality is made of, these fundamental particles. And for our story, the most important ingredients are going to be quarks and electrons. You can think of these as the basic, non-negotiable starting materials, the Lego bricks that the universe provides. And right here is where the first incredible leap in complexity happens. See, those tiny particles don't just float around by themselves. They assemble into something totally new, the atom. Atoms are the building blocks of literally everything you can see and touch. Your chair, the air, the sun, all of it. So what's an atom actually made of? Well, at its very heart, there's this super dense nucleus, and it's packed with positively charged protons and neutral neutrons. Then, buzzing all around that core, you've got these lightweight, negatively charged electrons. They're moving so fast, they create what we call an electron cloud. And this simple little arrangement, this is what sets the stage for everything else. And the way it gets put together is so elegant and logical. First, you get quarks, bunching up to create protons and neutrons. Then, those heavy particles clumped together to form that dense nucleus. The positive charge of that nucleus then pulls in the negative electrons, and bam, just like that, you have a stable atom, the first real building block of our world. Okay, so physics gives us the atoms, but this is where chemistry takes the wheel and really starts to get creative. If you think of atoms as the letters of an alphabet, then chemistry is the language. It gives us all the rules for how to combine those letters into an almost infinite number of words, sentences, and incredible stories. The main tool chemistry uses to do all this is something called the chemical bond. The best way to think of it is like a kind of cosmic glue that lets atoms stick to each other. Honestly, without chemical bonds, every atom would just be a lonely island, and the universe would be a super simple and frankly really boring place. Let me show you how it works. We'll start simple. You take 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. Chemistry comes along and glues them together, and what do you get? H2O, water. And all of a sudden, you have something brand new, with properties that neither hydrogen nor oxygen had on their own. But why stop there, right? Let's get a little more ambitious. Let's throw some carbon atoms into the mix. So with 6 carbons, 12 hydrogens, and 6 oxygens, chemistry can build this. C6H12O6. That's glucose, the simple sugar that is the basic fuel for almost all life on this planet. Do you see how fast the complexity is starting to ramp up? And now for the grand finale of what chemistry can build. By linking atoms of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus together in this incredibly specific, super long chain, chemistry builds DNA. A single molecule of human DNA contains billions of atoms. Get that? Billions. It's a chemical structure so mind-bogglingly complex it holds the entire instruction manual for building a living thing. So we have these ridiculously complex molecules. But here's the thing. A single molecule of DNA all by itself isn't alive. So what's the next jump? How do we get from just a fancy chemical to that first actual spark of life? This is the bridge from chemistry to biology. Well, scientists think it happened step by step. So picture ancient Earth, this sort of primordial soup of simple molecules. These little molecules started linking up, forming long chains. And then, this is the crucial part, some of them, like RNA or DNA, developed this amazing trick. They could make copies of themselves. The final piece of the puzzle was when a membrane, like a little bubble, formed around these copying machines, creating the first protected, self-contained cell. So what even is life, anyway? It's not one single thing. It's really a collection of behaviors that just sort of emerge from all this complex chemistry. A living thing can process energy. We call that metabolism. It can make copies of itself. That's reproduction. And those copies can change over time, and that's evolution. It's all just chemistry, but it's very, very organized chemistry. And that brings us right back to where we started, but now, hopefully, with a totally new perspective. We've climbed that whole ladder, from quarks all the way to cells, and now we can really understand what it means to say that we are star stuff. So let's take a look at the view from the top. Here it is, the whole cosmic ladder, all in one shot. Look at it. It starts with the tiniest quarks, which build atoms. Chemistry takes those atoms and builds these amazing complex molecules. Then those molecules arrange themselves into cells. The cells form us. We form societies and planets. See? Each level is built on the one before it, with chemistry acting as that incredible engine in the middle, making the whole thing possible. This is the incredible power of what's called emergence. A single hydrogen atom. It can't do much. It certainly can't think. But you get trillions of them, and you organize them in just the right way, which is what chemistry does, and you can build a brain. A collection of simple, non-thinking parts that together can actually wonder about the very universe that created it. It's amazing. And how many atoms are we talking about here? Look at that number. That is 7 octillion. That's roughly how many atoms are in an average human body. And here's the most incredible part of all. Every single one of those atoms, except for the very oldest hydrogen, was created in the nuclear furnace of a star that lived and died long before our own sun was ever born. Just let that sink in for a second. Through this long, unbroken chain of physics and chemistry, a tiny part of the universe has become aware. This collection of star stuff, us, can now build telescopes to look back at the very stars we came from. In a very, very real way, we are the universe's way of knowing itself. So I'll leave you with this final thought. We've traced this incredible story all the way from quarks to consciousness, and it's all powered by the creative engine of chemistry. So if we really are the universe made self-aware, what does that mean for us? What is our responsibility, or maybe our privilege, to keep learning, to keep exploring, and to keep trying to understand this amazing story that we are all a part of?